Hello everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. Thank you so much for joining me again for another video. I'm out here in Holt, Florida with Pastor.
What's up, everybody?
We just ended up filming a video for his channel over on Snapkeep Videos if you want to check that out, where he's walking me through the Underworld movies because I had never seen them. Matt is out of town right now. He's on vacation with Jenna. And so here in Florida, they just started opening up some of the theaters. They're like at 30 or 40% capacity, and we really want to check out New Mutants. So Jeremy's going to join us down at the theater. We're going to watch it in IMAX, and I just came to the realization that it had been like 4 or 5 months since I've been to the theater, which is crazy. I would go at least once a week before COVID happened, and now it's like, it's such a weird experience now. This is probably a good one to watch without Matt anyway, just because it takes place in the X-Men universe. The only familiarity he has with X-Men is the original trilogy when we all watched it together. It's a horror movie from what I understand. I know very little about it. I saw the trailer. I know the girl from The Witch is in it. I think she was also in Split. She's pretty good. She's in a lot of like movies like that. It's kind of scarier, horror, thriller. What all do you know about New Mutants? You're more familiar with them in general than I am.
I don't know where they're going with the movie. I know, like you said, it's definitely a horror undertone. I just recently, like last night, dug up all my old comics that were based off of the New Mutants. I didn't find anything kind of horror-based in them, so just thumbing through them. So I'm actually eager to see where they're going with this, but definitely does take place in the Fox universe. I guess it's their last movie before Disney took over.
All right, we're gonna drive that way. We're gonna meet Jeremy. We'll see you over there.
Do you know what mutants are?
This isn't a hospital. It's a cage.
It's important we find out your power so we can help you get better.
I don't think we're here to get better.
We just got done with New Mutants. Jeremy is here. Thank you for filming for me. It was definitely a different experience as far as like any X-Men or Marvel movie that I had seen before. We were joking about kind of going in thinking it was going to be, I guess thinking we were going to make fun of it a little bit, but I actually really enjoyed it.
I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew it was kind of a movie of not a bygone era, but 20th Century Fox doesn't exist anymore. The world's completely different now. I think this is the first time I've seen a movie in the theaters where it's just 20th century pictures, so it was an interesting experience, but I was expecting the movie to be really, really bad. There are definitely some weak elements in it, but for the most part, I liked the cast a lot, and the third act had just some really cool action sequences in it, just really cool way of showing their powers. So I liked it more than I thought I was gonna. There are some major script issues though.
Towards the end, they showcased their powers, and the whole movie wasn't, even though we got snippets of it, it wasn't about, oh, it's just gonna showcase their power, you know? There are a couple of things that I really liked about it that I compare it to other movies that I really enjoy. Like, it felt a lot like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Breakfast Club, and like Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors for me. You know, the whole Band of Misfits thing, the fact that they're all like, you know, they pair off at one point was big Breakfast Club moment for me. I didn't know, like I didn't talk to them during the movie, so I didn't know how they were grasping it, but I was kind of hoping that they enjoyed it the way I did in their own ways, but enjoyed it overall. So I'm kind of happy you guys have generally positive, you know, outlooks on it. I've been getting more and more into comics because I'm a big X-Men fan, but I'm not that much, I'm not as well versed in the New Mutants as I am as, you know, the X-Men and the First Class and everything. I really like this movie a lot, and I think it's going to be a future cult classic, at least for me.
I liked it. It felt like a kind of an independent film with a high budget. Like a lot of it was a very confined, like really singular location. But when they did have to do the special effects or showcase powers and stuff, I think that they really did a good job. Kind of like you, I had no idea who the New Mutants were prior to this. Like I knew the X-Men, and that was about it, which is kind of a good thing because I can just go in and just, all right, what do the filmmakers want to show me?
The one location thing, it really does make it feel a little bit smaller scale. And like Pastor made allusions to Breakfast Club and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, there's a kind of horror element to it that I don't feel like they took as far as they could have. There's some really great imagery in it, but as far as like setting an atmosphere, I felt like it came up a little bit short. The fact that these kids even for a moment believe that they're in a functional hospital is as insane as anything that happens in those walls, which that was just part of it. It was like the script didn't do it any favors. It's not got a really strong structure, but again, it's like I have goodwill towards Anya Taylor-Joy, who ironically has never played a happy character in her life, might I add, but I really like what they did with Lockheed and Demon Bear, and anybody that is a fan of New Mutants, I think, is really going to appreciate those nods.
Matt at his house has this thing on his wall that's the story of two wolves, and it's literally the opening of the movie, except instead of a wolf, it's a bear, talking about one of them is good and compassion, and one of them is evil and fear and chaos. Which one is the stronger one within you? Whichever one you feed more. Like, that was like a central premise of the movie, so I thought that Matt would enjoy that. We also figured this probably would be a good one to watch without him, because he hasn't seen any of the other X-Men movies. And they even used footage from Logan.
Yeah.
I think that with all of like the delays in production, because you told me they started filming in like 2017 or trailers in 2017 or something like that, it just kept getting pushed off and off and off. And there's that merger of Fox, I think, before this movie came out. Like Jeremy said, it wasn't 20th Century Fox, it was 20th Century Studios or something. I remember being like, what is different about this? It looks, well, I was going in expecting it to be like a horror movie. I don't know if I would call it a horror movie. It definitely had some like scary elements to it. I wouldn't call it like straight up horror, no. Definitely, I would say more of like suspense, thriller elements to it. I think it was worth a watch. I found it very, very interesting. There were some elements that I did feel were kind of weaker, but overall I thought it was a pleasant surprise because I was not expecting much.
In hearing your thoughts on it, I just realized that one of the things I really enjoyed about the movie that I don't think I ever felt with any other movie, definitely not in the genre, is it's still a movie that I would take my teenage son, if I had a teenage son, to see it. It wasn't over the top, a gore fest for a horror movie. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because I didn't know much about the New Mutants. Like, I was able to spot a couple of them and be like, I'm pretty sure that's so-and-so. Just because I know Marvel characters, but I don't know anything about the centralized story of the New Mutants. So eventually it's going to tie into the MCU at some point. So I'm really, really excited to see where this goes, and I'm glad I got to see it in the theater because I really enjoyed the movie. I don't know why, I just liked it a lot.
And when we were watching the movie, you were like, is that Sunspot? And I can't be 100% sure, but I think it was. And when I was watching Wolfsbane, which is Maisie Williams' character, I was like, man, that reminds me of Farrell. Like, this has got some old X-Force vibes to it.
Yeah.
I thought that Maisie Williams was actually really good in it. I thought she did a good job. Anya Taylor-Joy, I think, is fantastic. I like her performance a lot in it. Charlie Heaton as Kentucky, or whatever his character's name was, he was really good. His accent was a little bit wobbly, but I thought the villain was probably the weakest part of the movie. There was this really abrupt about face that happened at one particular moment where you're like, this doesn't even feel like the same character as it was before. The score was fantastic, and there's this one scene where the love interest, which I also thought was really refreshing and cool in this movie, they're laying under the stars or in the sky, and it starts raining on this kind of barrier that's there, and the score was really nice during that part, and I really liked the visuals, so there actually were some pretty touching moments in it.
I really liked how they tied it into Logan. I think these last couple X-Men movies, Logan included, they're in the X-Men universe, but they're kind of their own things. This one is sort of similar. I like how it's just loosely tied, just enough to keep it in the same universe. They reference them, they kind of talk about them, but I like that a lot, especially the aspect of like them taking kids and, you know, having these really evil schemes that go along with it. I'm always weary of just rating movies that I saw in theaters because I kind of have like that initial view experience. It's usually a day or so later I'm kind of like, okay, maybe that wasn't as good as I thought initially. As of right now, I'd give this movie probably about a 7. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I might have more scrutiny tomorrow or, you know, the next couple days, but that's where I feel right about now.
I agree with a lot of what you just said about the rating and going into I'm not used to this, going to the movies and seeing something, you know, sitting there and getting the whole feel, IMAX, the whole thing. It's been forever. So as most movies go, the first watch makes me want to give it a 10 because I really enjoyed it and I didn't walk out. But I'm going to be realistic. You know, like, this series has taught me to be a little bit more objective in my ratings. I would give it an 8 because I did enjoy it a lot. But there may be a time where I watch it again and I'm like, you know what, it was really great the first time, but my settle score is like a 7, but I would definitely give it an 8. Part of me feels like it's going to probably go higher as I watch it just because certain things about it I enjoyed so much.
It's really hard to compare this to the other X-Men movies just because of how different it really is. While you were saying that, I was trying to think of like where I would have rated the other X-Men movies, but they're just so different.
Yeah, it has been a while since we've been into the theater, so I imagine there's a little bit of extra excitement, plus we saw it with friends. I mean, it was an enjoyable experience. I think the writing really let it down. I think it really speaks to just being in development for too many years and having too many hands in the pot. The character work was strong, the writing was very, very weak. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay. This is kind of a different format than what we're used to doing. I don't know if this hit or not, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. Helps my channel out a lot. Make sure to subscribe to both of these guys. I'll have their channels in the description below. Comment down below letting me know what you think of this video and what you think about this type of post-movie theater review. Subscribe if you want to see more fun content like this. Consider joining me on Patreon to get early access to select videos like this. As always, we all appreciate you watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.